here we have the avatars of two of the most spineless, wormiest right-wing men on the internet. One is Shadiversity, hiding behind his very poorly articulated, like the angle on this makes no fucking sense. Very poorly articulated AI himself, I suppose. He lost a little weight and he got some plastic surgery in this, and his hairline's a little different. That's okay. It's good to have, gender affirming art of yourself as a thing to aspire toward. I think that's fine. And then this guy is Angry Rant Sona Spoon, who is too cowardly to discuss our political disagreements over the course of a conversation. He told me that he was too scared to do that and does not wish to do any sort of live talks because he fears social settings in which it's not going to be a circle jerk and things like that. He also doesn't want to have his face on camera for obvious reasons, and so has chosen his gender-affirming avatar to be a spoon with a mustache. So that's where we're at, which is fine. I don't mind. I'm down with the furries. There's no reason I can't be down with spoons with mustaches. Sonas, right? Although I do think it's very hypocritical for any right-wing individual to be of any sort of subculture that goes against the norm. It would be ridiculous to allow them in your space, and you should excise them from those and make them feel like social pariahs every second of every day, and never allow them any happiness or joy spent amongst fellow pals. That's how I feel. Anyway, these two guys are going to discuss the flaws of liberalism together, which is cool because I also don't like liberalism. I think liberalism is a bad half measure for actual governance that just pussyfoots around and sort of sits atop the slime pool, sort of like algae, and just sort of photosynthesizes off of the processes that take place between the rest of us and the government, while the people who are actually conniving and benefiting even more directly from it tend to run the actual show because we have allowed politicians to greatly improve their own station from within and profit from their office, which is despicable and disgusting. And then, of course, to be able to be bought. These two gentlemen love that, however. They have no issue with being able to buy politicians' opinions or votes for things. In fact, having money is definitely better than voting. It should just be rich people that run us, actually.
Failing people's freedom for basic rule of law. You don't, grant people the freedom to murder. You don't grant, we try to...
Yeah, you do. They literally do. They grant people the freedom to murder all the time. The right wing and liberals, for the record, grant the government the ability to murder whoever the fuck they want every day. Absolutely. And other governments that they can profit from. And select politically advantageous murderers like Kyle Rittenhouse, for instance. Derek Chauvin.
Punish people who exercise, unrestrained freedom doing anything they want, right?
Unrestrained freedom. You're not for unrestrained freedom. People try to be like, I want to wear a dress. And you're like, no! You must be a man in a suit and sad and beige. You must like whiskey even if you don't like the taste. You must like women even if you don't like their touch. You must! You don't like fucking freedom? You don't like the freedom from oppression, for instance. You don't like the freedom of a worker to be able to choose where to work. Rather, you like them to be pressured to work at a place that's pretty near to them and that has the monopoly on any sort of the job market, right? Like, you don't wish for freedom. You wish for oligarchy and or landlords, essentially.
Yeah. No, if you look at that concept of, well, we give people the maximum amount of freedom, it doesn't actually mean anything. If you just think about it, well, what do people do with their freedom? That's essentially what you're asking. And then from that, basically, once you start extrapolating that into what that actually means as functional, then you realize what you say of I glorify freedom, it actually means nothing. Because freedom in this sense is just absent of an external restraint. Okay, well, every society has restraints. So what separates one society from another is what those restraints are for and what they ultimately do. Then you realize freedom doesn't actually mean anything. Freedom is just how much leeway are you giving your society and why.
Not unlike a Republican to be anti-freedom. There we go. Or I guess in this case, a fascist. An excellent example of someone who doesn't have pretty much any understanding of language, law, concepts, Not even colloquial understanding of the word freedom, really. So his argument is that you don't have freedom if there is law, and because we must have law, then freedom is bad. And it's just like so stupid. No, we should maximize our freedoms, our personal freedoms, and that's it. Your personal freedoms do not extend to killing other people. That violates other people's personal freedoms, right? So when those two things don't contradict, you can maximize your freedoms. You, on the other hand, do not agree with that. You think people need to be controlled and told how to behave in a cage, because when they behave outside of that, you get very upset. They can't be anything other than white Christian men, essentially. I guess he's talked himself into thinking he has a point. I don't know how. I guess it's kind of the Dunning-Kruger thing with these two, essentially, the whole time anyway. So I guess that's it. So I don't know what the education system is like down in Australia, but it's got to be comparable to the U.S. at least.
Then what makes your society then?
Yeah, well, the way that you kind of described it, how much leeway do you give your society? I think that's a perfectly, logical way to kind of describe it.
Of course he would cuck immediately to whatever guest he's on. If I said the same exact thing, but from a leftist perspective, telling him how the United States actually works or his government actually works, just because I was a leftist, he'd be like, no. He just bends the fuck over immediately.
Could still call that, granting people's freedoms, essentially.
Yeah.
But then it's like, as how much? And you get into muddy, convoluted waters when it comes up to like, who are the people who will then determine what rights individuals have, and what, the role of government, how much power should they have to restrain the freedoms of individuals, and all those, elements that kind of branch off from it. But bringing it back to that idea about, okay, it's about freedom, all right? And then I want to bring it back to the question, okay, how much freedom is too much freedom? Because when we look at the world today...
How much freedom is too much freedom? Shadiversity here to limit your personal liberties. None? There's no extent to your personal freedom that is too much, in my opinion. I don't really think there is a limit to that, right? To the extent it doesn't contradict someone else's, right? So, for instance, being a billionaire does, and like controlling... In a world where money involves necessities, it's unethical. In a situation where money is just tokens to buy stuff that you want, that you don't need, like literally superfluous things, only that, I don't care.
Especially the woke movement. It seems to be...
The woke movement. Too much freedom in the wokes.
Yeah, very liberal in the sense that you must allow someone the freedom to do what makes them happy, unrestrained, even if it's self-destructive.
Even if it's self-destructive, listen to yourself. Okay, so you don't have the freedom to drink alcohol then. Done. You just made a prohibition argument. You don't even understand the fucking argument you make. They're so stupid. So this entire thing is an exercise in showing you how servile a right-wing mind is. If you are a right-wing person and you're watching this, you are a servant. You are a serf. You are a submissive. And you don't even realize it. They've told you that being submissive is manly, and you're like, yeah, that sounds right. And then you bend over and cuck yourself to billionaires and Donald Trump, and they can go be pedophiles and be murderers and take shit that's not theirs, violate your fucking constitutional rights, burden your neighbors with undue fucking suffering. And you're like, oh, good. This is good because I chose red team to win, and then they did. And that makes me feel like a winner vicariously, even though materially it's getting worse for me. Like every day. They want to be stepped on. And I'm not joking. Surf with an E. They are literally, if you are a right-wing man, I can talk you through step by step why you are a servant. And you'll never be more than that. No matter what. The only way you will be is through nepotism, frankly. You're a servant. No matter how rich you fucking are, you're a servant. It doesn't matter. You're not a billionaire. You're not the fucking president, man. The closest you can get is like fucking in office or something. And even then it doesn't matter. All those people end up fucking going to jail or becoming servants of the fucking, guy. They're just all fucking sucking his toes. It's pathetic. It's absolutely fucking pathetic. These two, if they had any spines at all, should be hunched over and hurling in disgust of themselves as they try to discuss how we should limit freedom. Idiots.
And when I say self-destructive, almost like to an objective level, that, hang on, we can see that there's a pattern of behavior.
So he's just obsessed with being trans, I guess?
That is objectively self-destructive, right? It raises an interesting question then about, should people have now, I don't know the answer to this question, okay? I'm just throwing it out there. Should people have the right, the freedom, to engage in behaviors that are objectively self-destructive.
Yes. If you don't agree with that, we ban religion right now, which I would love to do. What I think is more important is that we ban the ritualistic indoctrination of children into religion. I don't care if this guy, as a man with logic and reason, decides, you know what, I'm a born-again Christian. I don't mind if he's a pariah, if he wants to choose this shit. But that's not how it happens. It's always born in a Christian house, born in a Christian society, doesn't take it too seriously until adolescence, and then, my girlfriend broke up with me and I'm a Christian at 13, bro, never look back. You know? Same guy will say a 13-year-old can't make the decision or the determination that of their self-identity. You know what I mean? Shut up.
I would say no.
You would say no?
No.
See,
It always boils down to who should check that.
Yeah.
Because if you look at sort of what the wokies believe, I don't actually think it's freedom. I think they just wish to impose an order.
Disagree. It's 100% freedom. You don't understand the leftist position because you're too fucking cowardly to have conversations with leftists. Because they talk to you like this, I guess, because you don't command the intellectual respect you think you do when you talk about this subject. Like, I don't want to impose a fucking order on you. I want you to be free of capitalist burden. I want you to be able to get healthcare, education, and housing without needing to be servant to someone else first. Like, do you think about this ever? Do you ever think like, oh, they say in order for me to have a life, I have to serve another man's pocket. I don't serve my own. I am his employee. And only through that exchange do I deserve dignity and respect. You are a servant class. Listen to yourselves. Such serfs.
Well, what's interesting with the woke mindset is that they take the freedom where it's like, okay, I can pursue happiness. When I say unrestrained, there's the common restraints, and usually the main restraint that people would apply to this concept of maximal freedom is so long as you don't impact the freedom or the safety of another individual.
Right. Yes. Correct.
And so usually people say you should be granted that level of freedom.
Yes.
And even if it ends up harming yourself, as long as it doesn't harm other people.
Why would it matter? You let guys fucking skydive. Huh? You're going to tell me I can't let a guy go fucking climb a mountain or go camping with no supplies or fucking try to swim across the English Channel? What? So I gotta have a problem not with those guys risking their literal lives in the moment, but I have to be really worried about someone pursuing happiness in a way that makes you uncomfortable. I'm scared of heights. I'm not going to go skydiving. It makes me uncomfortable. I would ban skydiving if they tried to make me, if it was mandatory, right? This man fights with a sword. It doesn't make any sense. It's like fucking, like the geometry, it's tripping me up because it's not drawn by a human being. So it's going like literally, not only perpendicular, but kind of back from his wrists out. It's like an MC Escher blade.
But what I find people of the woke mindset do, they take that and then they say, okay, I am going to be living my life in this direction that I believe is going to bring me happiness. Now you must acknowledge it also. And if you do...
You're just talking about trans people. I don't care if you acknowledge trans people. What I think you can't deal with is other people going like, well, fuck you then. What you can't deal with is how people regard you. It has nothing to do with like, you have to do this thing. No, you can do whatever you want, but you're going to be treated like a fucking transphobe and you're bitching about it like a baby. Like, do you like free speech? Then shut the fuck up. You don't get to just harass people because they live different. It's one thing to be like, I'm not going to call Tina Tim or whatever or Tim Tina. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to do that. And people just roll their fucking eyes at you. And then when Tim or Tina, whatever their actual name is, comes around and you call them the opposite thing and they don't regard you and everyone's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? And you'll feel embarrassed. I mean, that's how it ought to be. And it is for most transphobes. I mean, that really is what it is. Like, you're just embarrassed of your own lack of understanding of your sexuality and your gender and your space within the masculine continuum. Like, you're just made uncomfortable by other people's freedoms. Your discomfort shouldn't fucking matter. Frankly, it shouldn't fucking matter. I don't care. People are expressing themselves how they see fit. So are fucking you. You're cringe as shit, both of you. We still allow it. If cringe was fucking illegal, you guys would be in the fucking gulags right now.
Not acknowledge my lifestyle and the way I'm practicing my things that it will lead to happiness. You're a bigot and you should be cancelled and everything like that. And of course, the biggest...
You're a bigot and you should be canceled. Being canceled is just the rest of society saying you're a fucko. Like, you should be canceled. Being canceled is literally like, oh, I don't support this guy because he sucks. Like, the reverse of that is you saying that you deserve people's support irrespective of your conduct, which is not personal responsibility whatsoever. Like, they can't live up to any of their own fucking standards. He doesn't like free speech because he doesn't like being canceled. He doesn't like people to say he's a dummy. He doesn't like fucking freedom of expression. He doesn't like fucking any kind of freedom. But these guys can't handle this kind of conversation because they're just so fucking wrong so much. It triggers them to hear that. And so all they're going to do is go, no, say slurs and shit. This is all they can do. If you're a right winger, I want you to think about how much you do this. How often do you go, you're a fucking R slur, or you're a fucking, like, you just think of a slur and try to like trigger the lib or whatever the fuck you think you're doing, and it doesn't work. It's just eye roll. It's just cringe. Like, you think it's a rebuttal, but instead you're just a servant. When Republicans and conservatives and fascists speak to me, they're just like turning around and like showing me their butt. And I'm like, dude, please don't turn around. And they're like, but hold on. And they turn around and they fucking they start pulling their shorts down. I'm like, dude, please stop. And they're like, no, I have to show you. And then they fucking pull their pants down and they bend over and they fucking spread their cheeks. And they're like, oh, I just can't fucking wait until I'm next fucked by my overlord. And I just have to tell you how much I want to be fucked by my overlord. And I'm just telling these guys to stop. Understand how the rest of us see you. Because if they go low enough, I might disengage. That's literally what it is. Remember when that Nazi came on and he was like, I'm gay, but I stopped being gay because it's bad. And I was like, it's okay to be a gay kid, man. It's fine. And he was like, no, it's not. And he started saying slurs. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's all right to be gay. It's not bad for you to have your sexuality. And he's like, yeah, it is. Anyway, he DM'd me after and was like, fuck you, bro. And I'm like, dude, seriously, if you're gay and you like are attracted to men, there's nothing wrong with it, and you don't need to feel bad. And if you ever need a community, here we are. In 4 years, 3 years maybe, that guy's going to be in my DMs and be like, I'm sorry, man. I am gay as shit. You helped me a lot. It always takes about that long.
Manifestation that I've seen about this is the trans movement and gender identity. That if you do not acknowledge someone's gender identity, you are denying their
humanity,
humanity. Exactly. You're erasing their existence. They take it to that level.
Erasing their existence. I just don't think you're able to like really read people's comments on that. What they're saying is that like you can't determine someone else's identity. Like you're like, I want to be called Shad, but what if everyone called you pedophile instead, just all the time? You know what I mean? What if everyone just like, this guy's, you know, this pedophile guy, and you're like, wait, whoa, I don't like being associated with being called pedophile, but everyone just adopted the name. Wouldn't that make you upset? Like your friends and family even, they're just like, yeah, pedophile, you know, like Shadophile, you know that guy? I think he's a kid fucker, but you know, you do you, man. Like, do you think that would be upsetting if everyone was just like, yeah, you're a pedophile all the time? Because you chose to go by Shad and wear a Gambison in the 2020s. Do you think? No, of course not. Thinking is hard.
Which is bonkers to me because that's then them imposing their beliefs, which is restricting other people's freedom to believe what they want. But it's...
Where you have it? Shad? Well, Shad Base and Shadiversity are the same person. And he will have no problem with being identified as something that you believe he is, irrespective of how he identifies. So if you call him Shad Base and put all of the allegations of Shad Base on Shad Base, who is right in front of us, of course, he will not be bothered because he does not believe that his self-identification matters. He believes that our identification, society's identification of him, is what matters. He thinks to externalize your identity makes more sense than to understand it from within, and then to inform the rest of the people how they should act. No. We know better than Shad who he is. He is Shad Base, the same exact person. I can tell because of how they spell their names. I know that they're the same person. That's how I feel. You won't wokely tell me how to refer to you. He's called Shad. He's a man. He is Shad Base, the known lolicon pedophile. He makes art. Same shit. Everyone knows this. Imagine externalizing your own identity, which is, by the way, every accusation is an admission. They externalize their identities as well because they LARP as men. They are not actually men. They wouldn't neither of these guys would be behind avatars if either of them was confident in their masculinity. That is a fact. No man confident in his masculinity has a fucking cartoon avatar. None of them do. Okay? I mean, you might sometimes. I mean, like in this situation, they'd be just fucking talking to each other. Eroding. Thanks for Prime.
It seems like this idea of, hang on, if you do not acknowledge my lifestyle, my, liberal life, you are now, how dare you're restricting my liberal life as a...
No, that's literally fucking you Mormon cunt. Like, literally, that's you. Oh, you'll have to let me indoctrinate my kids into this fucking religion of falsities. I need to misinform my children on the world that they live in. You just need to accept that. Sorry, my religious freedoms, though. Oh, okay, but not my fucking freedom to express, which comes way fucking before your religious freedoms. No, your religious freedoms are more important. Sure. Do you see?
Result, which is bonkers, but that seems to be one of the end states of the woke ideology.
Yeah, I would say is one thing that I don't like that people do is they go, here's an accepted rule book, that's how we should behave, and they start pointing at the hypocrisy of other people. And
he's a fucking Mormon.
we go, yeah, the hypocrisy model only works with you because these are your values. They don't give a crap about your values.
I don't even fucking refer to a book. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. I accept that this guy self-identifies as a spoon. I do not care. It's irrelevant to me.
Yeah, well,
So if someone doesn't adhere to your values, there's no point in you trying to dunk on them with what you believe.
Then shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? That's your fucking YouTube channel. How are these guys so not self-aware? This is literally your YouTube channel. Listen to yourself. Listen to your description.
Pointing at the hypocrisy of other people. And we go, what people do is they go, here's an accepted rule book, that's how we should behave. And they start pointing at the hypocrisy of other people. And we go, yeah, the hypocrisy model only works with you because these are your values. They don't give a crap about your values.
yeah, well,
So if someone doesn't adhere to your values, there's no point in you trying to dunk on them with what you believe.
Dog. I've never seen someone self-own themselves more than right fucking now. That is so silly. He spends his entire time as a rantsona on the internet trying really hard to dunk on the libs. That's his fucking job. This is brain-meltingly stupid already. There's a 0% chance I get fucking deep into this. There's no fucking way I could surmount such a thing. Can you imagine listening to this for 2 hours? I couldn't do it.
That's something that I would wish people move away from, because if you just look at them, what are they actually trying to do? They're just trying to use raw power and shove it down your throat. And then they try to chastise you because you are not adhering to the values that you espouse by essentially dunking on them. And they try to flip it back down on you. I would just say,
A bunch of people in a social setting saying you suck is not anyone cramming anything down your throat, you freak. Using the government to disenfranchise minority groups is, however. It absolutely is. Things that both of you support.
if you just look at, they're trying to use state power to wield it against you. So if we go,
They don't use state power. There isn't an example of the wokeness state just putting away the fucking chuds. Can you imagine? Asmongold in shackles. You're just too cringe, sir. Wokeness is spoken. These guys are going to be dragged kicking and screaming into the future where they don't have to toil beneath a lord that has coins. Can you imagine? Can you imagine respecting a man because he has more coins than you? Imagine, if you will, can you imagine a situation where people wore their wealth on top of them? And that's how we understood. And he just literally wore like fucking coins. Can you imagine how silly it would be to follow those people and to listen to them as if they just demand any of your respect or adherence? I do not understand why these people are so cucked. If you don't want to be trans, that's cool. Me either. I don't really even care. I've told chat this a million. I'm so annoyed that I even have to talk about trans people, and it's because I'm their ally. It's because I don't care if they're trans. I care if they're cool. That it happens that most trans people are cool, not all, you have some shitters too, is just a confluence of the times. But I wouldn't it be nice if like half of all trans people were actually trash? I live for a day when we have real equity. Just like everyone can just vibe, and then some of them are just dog shit for other reasons, Not because they've been told by the media they like to consume that they ought to be mad at a different group right now.
okay, you are more than happy to use state power to shove your worldview down my throat. Okay, so why do I listen to anything you have to say? I'm just going to do the same thing, and you can choke on it.
Well,
I'm going to do the same thing. I don't understand why he thinks state power is being used against him.
that is the interesting thing, is because ultimately, right, at the end of the day, the only way to actually impose any type of kind of moral standard on society is through state power. I mean, the other
Impose a moral standard on society. Listen to how you fucking talk. I do not wish to, as a leftist, impose any sort of morality on the state or from the state to the citizens. You'll naturally come to morality of your own making, like everybody, by having your needs met and then engaging with your community in positive ways. You'll just, you'll find community with them.
way is through discussion and conversion. When I say conversion, I'm talking
Your
about
religion used to be the old one, yes.
exactly. That's literally how my religion has always been presented and taught. And now I'm a Latter-day Saint. Mormon is a shorthand, right? And I've actually dedicated most of my life to spreading this ideology because I think it leads to the most maximal happiness that people could find out. That's what I found in my life. And the way that I was a missionary for 2 years for my church, and the way that it was done was through invitation and discussion and persuasion.
Neither of these guys are willing to have discussions with people that disagree with them, though. Neither of them. Why are they pretending otherwise? It's such a, they have their little tiny dicks in each other's hands, and they're like going, aren't we intellectuals? Only here, apparently. Only right here are they willing to have discussions and debates and to convert other people. Hate the use of the word persuasion. Yeah, I don't know. I just want you to be right, too. I want you to also understand that you could be correct. As a recovering Mormon, it's so cringe to listen to now. As a lifetime atheist, all religious people are cringe and wrong, and I respect anyone who has left their religion, because it sounds like it wasn't easy. All you have to do is be curious one time. That's all it takes. Have the courage to be curious and ask questions they tell you you're not supposed to, and it's over. Because it's just not true. It sucks that they fucking lied, though. Really, the hard thing is, so they lie to people in order to control them. And it's obvious, especially in Mormonism, right? Because of how fucking tied that in. Did you get excommunicated and everything? It's very hard, isn't it, for 28 years. I have friends that are ex-Mormons as well. Excommunicated, they have to take you out of the book. You have to go to the church and do the whole thing, especially if you're married, and then your spouse might fucking leave you. No one talks to you, etc. You're all cut off. It's a fucking cult. It all is. All of them are. Not just Mormons. Do I still have that fucking... Mormons are the most brainwashed group. Right next to Protestant, Roman Catholic, and Eastern Orthodox, all Christians. Most brainwashed fucking group. Yeah, Mormonism sucks. It's really bad. It's especially bad for the kids. Well, like any other religion, really.
Never with coercion, force, or the sword. And that's kind of laid the foundation that is just in my mind, it's the natural instinct that I have that if you're ever wanting to, spread what you think is true ideology, it needs to be through persuasion and discussion.
Okay, well... But you guys just said that the wokes can't do that. You know what I mean? They said, well, then I'm going to use state power to stop that. You don't even listen to yourselves.
But that's not what the woke movement have been doing. They've been no, they're going to impose it. And first they've tried to impose social justice, which is social consequences. And it starts with public shame, jeering, belittlement, browbeating.
None of those are government imposed. That's social justice. You being told that you're a piece of shit is your doing. I mean, I'm not going to fucking feel sorry for you.
Beating and insults, right? And then they take it a step further and they try and get power through any type of organization, either through your employment, and then they push it, of course, also to state power. So we're going to impose that any discussion, speech against my ideology now is hate speech, and they're going to get the government.
What are you fucking talking about? As a Mormon, you have more protections in Australia.
I'm not fucking sad.
Dude, there's hate speech laws against talking about Mormons more than there are against fucking trans people. Holy shit. Shad's a Mormon, yeah. All the dumbest people are religious. It's so sad. Half of them are dumb because they've been fucking brainwashed, and the other half are dumb because they are fucking actually being ignorant. It's usually the difference between the younger ones and the older ones. It sucks. It's enforced servitude. It's so crazy. It's such a mind fuck to watch people go through. Because you can see their brains are there. I've talked to Mormon missionaries. I used to live in Boise, Idaho. Mormon missionaries would come around, and I would talk to these boys, and they'd be like, I would just casually mention, have you ever looked up, this or that or whatever, they're asking about, because they're asking about the universe and how we exist and what I think and all this shit. And it's have you ever looked this up? Oh no, we're not allowed to fucking look stuff up on Google. You know what I mean? And I go, is that alarming to you at all that you think that, they have to restrict the information that comes into your mind? You don't think that if Mormonism is true, it's going to be true whether or not you learned this fact, right? Or not. And of course, it doesn't hold up to scrutiny. Never.
impose hate speech laws and just call it hate speech, and therefore anything that offends me, I can define as hate speech and get you punished under the law as a result.
So some things are hate speech. Like if you harass somebody who is trans for being trans, it could be hate speech. If you just are like sort of shitty to a trans person because they're trans, I mean, it's not a hate crime on it. I mean, you can be sort of shitty. If you harass them, that's one thing. I don't know. I don't think anti-trans hate crimes get prosecuted very often. I haven't seen a lot of that. I'd love to, though. That'd be all right if trans people got a little fucking balance.
Yeah, I kind of like that thought.
You like that part?
Well, yeah, because the reason I say I like that is because what the left is very good at is recognizing how humans actually work. There's something that the left is very well. They're very good at disguising what they're actually doing because they have this belief, oh, everybody's equality and free and all this nonsense. But if you look at how they actually organize and structure, they are militantly hierarchical. They have deference to power, and they're very obedient. That's the reason why they work so well, is because they're very orderly.
What are you talking? The left is orderly. Who is he talking about? I don't know a single leftist that this describes. It's like fucking herding cats to get leftists all rowing in the same direction. Wow, log into Blue Sky. What is he talking about? Is his idea of a leftist like Pete Buttigieg? Like he never understands a thing he's talking about. He just asserts a thing. Shad's going to go, oh, yeah, that sounds like a slight against the group I don't like. I'm going to uncritically agree. Watch. Even the
right on the other end are elitist in theory, but in practice they try to uphold the values of democracy, which is why it doesn't work.
Democracy? They try to uphold the values of democracy. I mean, is he a monarchist? He probably is. He's saying I'm not servile. Actually, the leftists are. I want a monarchy. So democracy isn't a thing that we have. We have like a kleptocracy. And an oligarchy. And so what happens is you have an elite class of landowners and property owners, which has always been the case in America and in Australia, which is a colonialist enterprise. Anything with any Western nation, really. You're just in servitude to a system for some reason. Democracy would be like having actual representation, which would include all groups, not only geographically but demographically, right? So it'd be like a representative group, and you'd see like California, and they would have like geographic representation, and also within that you could do a further breakdown of like if there's any special communities or anything that deserve particular representation, and it could be a very vast and broad thing, but a parliament. Yeah, but I mean, like even then, like I don't know how other parliaments are, but not every parliament is well structured or anything. But yeah, there are no democracies in the landscape that haven't been decolonized. That's probably true.
Because you can't uphold those values. Like you give everyone freedom and everyone can have the little slice of the pie. Like, no, that's not how humans work. How humans actually work is they have a deference to authority, and if you tell them what to believe and obey, they actually will. That's
true to some extent, but only like a small extent, and it's through these religious levers and these propaganda levers that'll happen. But what we actually want is for people to stop being able to do this with the consolidation of power, because this guy wants to rule, and really he wants to have a ruler because he thinks that's what brings him stability. But of course, what this brings is people who do not wish to be ruled, making the attempt at rule unstable. And so what happens is this tension between the people who don't wish to be ruled in the way that you're trying to make them be ruled, and then the people who are obedient, because there is always going to be a subset. But like obviously it's like 30%. You know what I mean? Like it's like about 30%, and right now, based on the structure historically of how things have been, that type of political movement benefits the oligarchs at the top in the capitalist system. And so he doesn't understand that he's just a cuck, but we do. We see him in his little chair over there in the corner.
Well,
especially if there's like a function to it.
This is an aspect of discussion that I actually find quite intriguing, because nearly everything that I like see in life, especially policy and stuff, I always want to pass it through the lens of my own faith and religion.
Shad is so stupid.
And see how it weighs up. That's the most prominent,
that's normal.
Yeah, well, it's the core of my belief structure. And what I find interesting about this idea about imposing
my gender is Knight Templar type shit. I don't even fucking care. If he can self-identify as a Knight Templar. I identify as a smarmy spoon without a spine, and I identify as a Templar. Go for it. Don't mind. Just keep it to yourself.
A moral standard, or when I say imposing,
Shad is also mad because the sword people hate him. Yeah, he is pretty upsetty about that.
there's multiple ways in which something could, be imposed, right? But growing up in my faith, my church, right? The church has always had a very, very strict moral standard, okay? And an expectation and encouragement that if you're a member of this church, you've done something quite significant, because entry into membership is you make a covenant where you will keep God's commandments. That's what.
Listen to how he talks about it. This is how a lot of religious guys talk. They're like, "Oh, I'm in this elite club, bro," and it's like it just sounds awful. Do you have a friend who just gets really jazzed about whatever the next thing is, and then afterwards they get really down on it? He sounds a little bit like this. He sounds a little bit like, "Oh man, this is the Christmas Adventurers Club." Yeah, the consistent inability to handle criticism is a through line throughout this, big time.
The baptismal covenant is. And after that, there is an expectation that you're going to be keeping those covenants. And so there's actually worthiness interviews that you have with the bishop, discussing about how well you're keeping that covenant. You're keeping
worthiness interviews. There's actually worthiness interviews. I think if everyone went through the stressful process of finding out whether or not your soul was worthy, I think that would be good. How about therapy instead? If you can make time for Mormonism, you can make time for therapy. That'd be all right. What if we got these guys some mental fucking health care?
Commandments, and then if you transgress sin, a serious one, there are repercussions, but not state imposed or anything like that. The ultimate penalty is excommunication, and I find that
the only way you're going to get excommunicated is if you leave the church. You could be a fucking pedophile; they won't kick you out.
Interesting, because excommunication is basically saying, okay, by your practices and the way that you live, you have proven yourself that you are not part of this tribe, because this tribe expects a moral standard for you to adhere to.
Oh, weird. Tribalism. I can't believe that this right-wing man would resort to uncritical tribalism as his political point of view. I'm fucking shocked. Guys, it's a fucking disease. It's a brain disease. These people are not free. Look at this. They choose their own fucking servitude. This is genuinely some of the most distilled worm behavior you could witness between two, presumably human beings.
And if you don't do that, you are not worthy to be a member of it. You can still come. We're going to encourage you to try and live up to that standard again. But this idea of having a moral standard that you expect people to live up to, okay, in my experience, throughout my entire life, has been profoundly beneficial for who I am and the individual and the standards that I live by.
Well, yeah, because you're mediocre. Only through the nepotism of this faith structure are you going to be able to have, any sort of standing in your community. No one normal would liaise with you, sir. Yeah, that's not happening.
Now, I'm not saying it can't go wrong, where people can impose a form of unrighteous dominion where they're enforcing it too much, and that pushes people away. But the encouragement to always do better and live to a higher moral ideal has been profoundly beneficial in my life, where the concept of liberalism seems to be almost the antithesis of that, where you have no right to expect anyone to live up to any standard because it's their freedom to live whatever the hell that they want. And it almost...
I disagree. Not violating someone else's freedom is the standard. Which you guys definitely do all the time. You violate this constantly. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's very hard to just mind your own business and also be part of the community at the same time. There's no problem. You can do both, but you don't. Instead, you violate the social contract that we're trying to set forth. That's pretty much where we're going. And really, it's just because we have these cults involved. If we didn't have Christianity, fascism wouldn't be a thing. Not a joke. You can't mobilize these numbers without that kind of mechanism, that kind of tether, I guess, to the center of it. They will not mobilize with you under secular fascism. I mean, they will, but not in the numbers that you need. You need people that are religiously devoted. It can be a cult of personality. So the Trump thing works in two ways, which is why it's effective and bad. Because cult of personality drives some of it, and then the religious aspect drives the other half, right? But without one or the other, you've seen they've never really been able to have quite what they needed until now. Although it will be short-lived, but it's astounding how controlled they want to be. Which is so weird.
Destroys the very idea of well, just objective morality. And if you don't,
There is no objective morality. We're human beings. Human morality exists, and it's clearly subjective. Clearly. You're debating it right now.
even want to believe in objective morality, just good moral standards that we have found through practice.
You don't have good moral standards, though. For instance, Mormons are like abusive to kids. You know what I mean? Like, it's abusive to teach your child Mormonism. It's abusive to teach your child that they are lesser and sinful and need to be fucking corrected by this hierarchical structure, and that if they're women, they're less valuable, and if they're minorities, they're less valuable. So ridiculous. God's morality. Oh my God. I guess I can kill people sometimes. If God says you can kill people, you can, which teaches them, of course, if a hierarchical structure says that we can kill someone, they allow it, which is where we're at today. They just excuse bad behavior and literally sin in their eyes, so long as someone within their hierarchy is doing the thing. It's not a big deal. Just controlled.
Benefit society. It seems like liberalism, like when taken to its furthest end, says that is bigotry.
Liberalism, when taken to its furthest end, is a gateway to fascism, essentially. They don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, liberalism. The age of liberalism is over, though, for sure.
Basically. Any thoughts that
I'm going to try to get to 20 minutes.
Share just on what I was talking about here?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think where liberalism goes wrong in the modern world is, okay, no offense to our American counterparts, but it is like it is a very commercialized form of liberalism that America has unfortunately exported, all for the sake of materialism. And I really blame the equality doctrine for this, which is that all differences between people can be boiled down so that we can just make a happy group of consumers.
So your critique is that capitalism is bad? What? Capitalism bad? Oh, that's my stance on kids wanting to explore religion. If I, as a parent, I'm not prompting it. Kids wanting to explore religion is not really a thing. Like what it is like an indoctrinating society due to the normalization around them of the practice. Being curious about stuff that's going on, like being curious about religion. I am too. I'm an atheist, but I'm not curious to practice it. Being taught it secularly is no problem, especially if they're starting to be kids that can like actually understand things. Typically, when kids, especially younger than fucking 10, have any interest in religion is because a grandparent or a cousin or a fucking classmate or a pastor or their parent is telling them they have to. Or ought to, and like, you know, making it a social pressure. So like, I have no problem with curiosity whatsoever. I teach people religion secularly all the time. That's my whole shit. And it's exactly that. Grandparent always is. I'll tell you what. I had an ex who had kids in Boise, where the Mormons were, and her grandparents were Mormon, and they were trying to do the exact same thing. And it was like a little kid, and he was like, "Oh, what's an angel?" And he was saying like, "Oh, you're gonna go to hell for that," or some shit like that. Got it from his grandparents, and then there had to be long talks about like, "Hey, man, it's not normal or real," and had to be discussed with evidence. So I mean, like, I personally educate, because that's my background. So, I mean, like, it really is just like, okay, ask your questions, and here's why it's not real. Like, there's no evidence for angels or whatever the fuck you're talking about. It doesn't matter. Like, you could be like, well, which religion? There are thousands. Is this religion any more true than this religion? Why or why not? And the answer is evidence. That's how you determine it. And guess what? None of the religions have any evidence. We are animals that have evolved on Earth to be burdened with sapience and sentience. And we're on this earth together. So we're just apes trying to learn how to socialize. And that's why, I mean, forever it's just been violent, fearful animals tribalizing up and brutalizing out groups. And only through collectivization. This literally happened. You can watch this happen in fucking the city-states of Hellenistic Greece, like Athens and stuff. I was just watching stuff on the Peloponnesian War the other day. Don't worry about it. Some people think, oh, what about the fall of Rome? No, I think about the fucking Bronze Age collapse way more, okay? You see, just like once you collectivize into a space where there's enough numbers of you that agree that this set of principles should exist, we need to be free within this space. It'll happen for you. You'll have to defend yourself, of course. And then eventually, everyone is afforded the stability, because the reason there's barbarians at all in the world, and there are, is because they don't have the resources they need, or they're trying to get resources to continue a certain lifestyle. ICE is a great example. Like, all of them are poor and or hopeful fucking racists. That's pretty much where they're at. God isn't real. You're trying to dance around the fact that God isn't real? Oh, why? So, well, that's okay. That's okay. You're fresh out of the religion thing. So I mean, it makes sense because your knee-jerk reaction is like, oh, the default is that God exists and it is harmful. It will hurt them to tell them that their eternal soul is no longer a toy to be played with by an eternal being. Won't it hurt them to learn that they don't have to have the anxiety of hell in their lives? Just tell them as early as possible. Kids are so pliable. Kids are able to learn, and you can tell them. And you might not even know this because you're just fresh out of the religion and you were kept from a lot of the information. Did you know that this universe is fucking billions of years old, like 12.5 or 12.7 billion years old? This Earth is 4.5 billion years old. We can't even comprehend how long that is. That's so interesting. Did you know they just discovered yesterday dark matter and how, like, did you know what dark matter even is? It's so cool. So, like, literally, you could look this up. A fundamental breakthrough in dark matter. Mysterious dark matter may interact with cosmic ghost particles. Don't worry about what this means. Just know that the universe is large and vast and way, and I cannot stress this enough, way more interesting than any religion has ever described it. It's so much more magical and beautiful and miraculous and real and natural and without any God than any religion has ever advertised. And it's because they didn't have the full set of information. And it's so cool. You can, like, if you grant yourself, as an ex-Mormon or an ex-Christian or anybody, if you grant yourself the ability to be excited about the real world and real universe you live in, and exchange that for whatever whole feeling you feel like you got from your religion without the weird shit that goes into it, just like really enjoy curiosity of the world you live in, I'm telling you, it's so rewarding. You're literally a member of the universe, like all of us are. We're avatars of the universe, man. And not in a woo-woo magical way, in a literal way. We are collections of particles made up of the universe, which is everything that we know to exist, experiencing things. And so is a dog and a cat. Like, when you realize that all mammals share with you a similar experience, not the same, because we have like this sort of like further ability to understand self and further time and conceive of future actions and like despair over them and shit and calculate. But animals have personalities. They have preferences, they have voices and temperament, and they're all different. Like, if you had two different dogs, you know that. If you had two different cats, you know that. If you had two different birds, you know that. They don't have to be mammals. Fish aren't, who knows, they're probably all the fucking same. But like, to some extent, even this dumb floppy-eared son of a bitch out here has a similar experience. And he's it's not a joke, we are cousins to everybody around here. Like, everybody. I'm not trying to make a clip. I'm trying to talk to a Mormon that needs help in my chat, or an ex-Mormon, a brave apostate that deserves a little bit of attention. But for real, it's not a joke. Like, I think there's this mistake this mistaken idea in religious groups, because you're told it's true, that the atheists or people like that we're depressed because we don't believe in eternal souls or heaven. I can't imagine, like, if you actually think about the material existence of, like I just said, the universe is 12.7 billion years old. The Earth is 4.5, which is a third of that, right? Eternity is infinitely longer than that. Like, it is. And so heaven, as described in the Christian Bible and in any Abrahamic religion, and to some extent Mormonism, although they give you a planet with servants and stuff, it's eternal worship forever of a guy who very flippantly orders the murder of people and children, and like didn't consider black people whole ass people until like the 80s. If existence was a day, our species wouldn't be a second old. I know. You'd have to break up a day into 12. Is it 13.85? Oh, 13.7. My bad. Not 12. Even longer. Not even a billion years of God worship. Not even a blink. Gods are new. Farming outdates God by 8,000 years. Did you know that 10,000 years ago human beings learned to farm? Like, learned that the grain that we picked up could be put down into the ground and it would grow again? And once we learned that, we learned to settle, and that's where the first settlements came from. It wasn't a fucking ark or Adam and Eve in a garden. We can farm, dude. That's amazing. Did you know that before that, for 200,000 years, we were hunter-gatherers? 200,000 years of anthropomorphically same humans. Like, they're not dissimilar from us. They wouldn't have the language we have because they're, older. But they could learn the language we had if they were taught it. They had the capacity for it. Isn't that fucking crazy? They had each individual group of people had, like, different ways of communicating. Some of them developed proto-writing. We have some of these early examples of, like, seals with, like, different markings on them. And they're not similar. Like, they might be the one of their kind. And then only eventually, after you start to get, like, this working together, then language develops, and it's so cool. And, like, just understanding that, right? So if you can understand that, you can understand, like, anything about the world. Imagine any other system besides humans. And because religious people are so anthrocentric, like, we're always thinking about humans and how central we are to every story, can you try to not centralize humans or yourself in the story of the universe and understand we're just one fucking planet in a fucking sea of other planets? I was talking to the boys earlier, and I was like, man, I really hope somewhere out there, and statistically this is probably true, because life exists in the universe for sure. We just don't know. And the Fermi paradox and time. I hope that someone is, or will, and I bet statistically it has, I bet that there are whole planets that have figured this shit out and are just fucking chilling, dude. They're just fine. Doing a great job. I don't think every single one of them are doing a great job, but I guarantee you that there are some planets that have figured this out. Whole species, maybe even multiple species of sapient, sentient creatures, maybe even better or worse than us, just actually figuring this out. Going to baptize it. Yeah, that they need Jesus, not their space communism or whatever. Like, if you really understand the human animal, everything is a resource war. We're just scared of other people taking our stuff. That's all it is, and that's all that racism is and has ever been. We don't need more of this. We've done enough. We don't need more of this at all. I don't know how much of the Mormon stuff we're going to cover. Maybe we will. I appreciate you hanging out in the chat, and I hope over time it's continues to be helpful. Not to toot my own horn or this chat's horn, but I and we have dealt with many people leaving their faith over the years, and it's always a good thing. I've never met a person that fucking regretted leaving their religion. The worst thing is that leaving the religion is hard. As far as those two yokels, to put a cap on that, right-wing men don't know what the fuck's going on. They have no understanding of any concepts. They just say stuff. I think really what it is, part of it at least, is like, it's a bunch of like fails. I mean, look at these guys. It's a bunch of guys that haven't ever really excelled at anything, and they don't have the self-awareness to do so. Like they're not gonna make art. They're not gonna like have happy families. They're not gonna they're just gonna fucking sort of wallow in this, and this makes them feel elite, special, more so because they respect hierarchy and they think that it helps them get a little bit higher than they would be without it, and they really care about it. It's kind of sad, but I mean these guys suck, so I don't really feel bad for them at all. But it's sad for everybody else who like really really fucking just like falls in line behind it. It's crazy.